Okay, so you know better than anybody. I have my occasional geek moments. Outer space and space travel have always fascinated me.
Yeah.
I can remember as a kid my dad getting me out of bed to watch the first man set foot on the moon with the Apollo missions.
Oh, yeah. And did you know that a lot of the research that paved the way for man to travel to space and to the moon was done right here on Delmarva at NASA's Wallops Island Flight Facility? That's because the facility has been around for 70 years. So for today's Delmarva Treasure, we decided to take a look back and a look forward with Wallops Island. Although NASA Wallops Island is celebrating its 70th anniversary, the facility's history began a few years before 1945.
The whole origin of the base here was really stemmed out of the beginning of World War II.
T.J. Meyer is an environmental restoration program manager for NASA, but he's also an unofficial historian. He says operations began here shortly after the attack on Pearl Harbor. There were growing concerns over German U-boats threatening the East Coast.
By the end of 1942, the Defense Department realized they needed to have more protection. And so they started to create these small bases, both to do training of new pilots and also to run submarine patrols, anti-submarine patrols.
The Chincoteague Naval Auxiliary Air Station was home to 2 torpedo bomber squadrons. Meyer says a young pilot named George Herbert Walker Bush was trained here. Following World War II, the Naval Aviation Ordnance Test Station was established to test new types of ordnance, planes, and missiles.
And some of the guided missiles that are still in use today were the Sidewinder, which is a common one that people hear about all the time, and the Sparrow. Still used. I mean, it's obviously an advanced, but the basic missile is still being used today.
In 1945, NASA's predecessor, the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, established a rocket launch site called Wallops Station.
Those early launches were test rockets, really just to prove the principle that they could actually start to test rocket launching from the island.
In the early years, research at Wallops concentrated on collecting data at transonic speeds.
They wanted to go beyond the speed of an airplane, but not supersonic. They wanted to go what they call transonic, and they wanted to study what was happening in that phase.
In 1959, NASA took over the former Naval Air Station, eventually renaming it Wallops Flight Center. Project Mercury capsules were tested in support of NASA's manned spaceflight program.
Some of the early work that we did back in the very early 60s, where we launched a couple of types of rockets here. One was called the Little Joe that had the manned capsule on top of it. And the whole goal there was to launch that and see how the recovery of the parachutes work.
In fact, 2 rhesus monkeys were sent aloft in these capsules. Both were recovered safely. Wallops continued to grow the next couple of decades. In 1982, Wallops was consolidated with the Goddard Space Flight Center and became NASA's preliminary facility for suborbital programs, launching more than 16,000 rockets over the years. The facility also supports science missions for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and although many viewed the end of the space shuttle generation as an end to space discovery, Facility Director Bill Robel says it's just the beginning.
We're kind of on the ground floor of what, years from now will become some kind of a flagship mission or the next big instrument. And in the case of like manned space flight, while we probably don't do the same things that we did, say, in the Apollo era, there's still enough interesting things because it's a large amount of it is now commercial.
NASA's Sounding Rocket program provides vehicles for space and Earth science research.
We're basically an area where you can come to test. And so it's where you try things out. You'll break a few things, some things will work great. You'll find things maybe don't work out exactly the way, but you get it back and you can go ahead and adjust or make adjustments to whatever it is. Come back and fly again.
Got main engines at 108%. DMVL power nominal.
One high-profile example of that was the October 2014 failure of the Antares rocket launch.
It's the reality of aerospace that from time to time things aren't going to work out. You always hope that it doesn't happen, but you prepare for the eventuality that it does.
And it's not just rockets. Wallops launches an average of 25 scientific balloons each year. The balloons provide NASA with an inexpensive means to place payloads into a space environment.
Basically looking at, upper atmosphere conditions, and a lot of science is brought to them from contributors all around the world.
NASA's Airborne Science Program provides aircraft systems for a wide range of scientific research.
I think in the last couple of years we've flown, better than 2,000 hours. I mean, no kidding flight time. Testing out, again, the instruments or taking measurements of the Earth's ice in the different polar regions.
And unmanned missions to investigate hurricanes in the Atlantic.
They're getting enough really good data off of that NOAA has now picked it up, and they want to continue to fly those, and so it's coming back this summer.
Along the way, the scientists at NASA Wallops Island continue to host students and educators to be sure the missions here continue through generations to come. Because here, the sky is not the limit.
I think with things like Antares and space station resupply, I don't know that there's any limit to things that we can do.
And Bill Robel, the director of NASA's Wallops Island Flight Facility, told me that they are finishing up repairs to the launch pad after that explosion last October. They're planning another Antares launch sometime next spring. So it's really not hard to see why NASA's Wallops Island Flight Facility is a Delmarva treasure.
No kidding. Thank you so much for doing that. All my geek just rose to the top there. Well, NASA Wallops is certainly a place to celebrate. As a matter of fact, that is exactly what they're going to be doing soon. Wallops Island is planning a big celebration for the facility's 70th anniversary. You, my friend, have a chance to be a part of the fun. Delmarva Life's Sean Stryker is at Wallops right now with more on that. Sean, this is pretty exciting.
Lisa and Jimmy, it is really exciting. 70 years of launching things into outer space. It's amazing. Now, both of you guys have had the opportunity to come here, but this is my first time, so I've been running around playing with all the interactive displays here. You can probably hear some of the kids in the background. They're playing with them. Like I said, my first time. If you at home have never been here, or maybe you're looking for an excuse to get back, I got the perfect excuse. This week is the 70th anniversary of the first launch here, and here to tell us a little bit more about that is Lisa Johnson. Lisa, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Surely.
70 years of rocket launching. It's so exciting. How excited are you guys here?
Oh, we are super excited about the 70th anniversary celebration. A lot of planning has gone in. We so look forward to opening to the public this weekend.
So I know it's not just rockets. What have you been launching here?
Wallops is certainly known for launching rockets. We also launch balloons remotely. We are also well versed in terms of aircraft operations, many scientific operations, and we have Navy among partners here. We do some work for them as well.
Of course, I know the rockets are probably what draw a lot of the attention, but the weather balloons are really helpful as well. I know that.
Absolutely.
And so you have this big celebration coming up this weekend. Tell everybody home, when does that get kicked off?
Sure. The 70th anniversary kicks off on Saturday at 8 a.m. with a fun run. Registration is about 400. From there, the gates will open at 9:30, such that the festivities are from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m.
You talked about the festivities, and there is just a list of things that will be going on this weekend, things that people don't normally get the opportunity to do.
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
We are thrilled to open our gates, and we have something for all ages. The activities range from Lego activities, lots of things for the children, to guest speakers. We have some entertainment, and we have various exhibits as well. In addition, there will be the opportunity to get up close to things such as our aircraft and our balloons.
That's cool. That's definitely fun. Well, hey, if you want to read the complete list of what will be going on here at Wallops Island, all you have to do is go to our website. That's WBOC.com and click on our picture at the top of the page. Jimmy and Lisa, I'm going to explore a little bit more. Jimmy, as you would say, I'm going to geek out. I'm going to send it back to you guys.
He may be there for a while.
I still want to be Sean Stryker right now.
I bet. Well, you know, people travel from all over the world to see Wallops, and if you travel, you know you have to choose which shoes you want to cram into your suitcase.